Welcome to the Continental. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Welcome to the Continental. I'm your host, Adam Mack, and on today's episode, we got two exceptional guests. Why are they exceptional? Well, first off, they're first timers, and I am so glad to be able to host them here at the Continental. But more importantly, they're actually visitors from across the country. And I'm so happy to welcome the first time guests, Armando and Park. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Continental. I really appreciate it, guys. I know that you're, some 3,000 kilometers away or 1,500 miles away, ballpark, give or take. And thanks to the wonders of technology, we're able to connect and talk about some of our favorite topics. And on today's episode, I'm glad that I have you two here because I know that you both really, really enjoy this aspect of pop culture, and we can probably talk about it for hours. And that is the Marvel universe. And specifically, we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And on today's episode, we're going to focus in on something that just completed. It's Disney's first foray into the small silver screen. And we're not talking about the ABC agents, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're not talking about the Netflix adaptations. No, we're talking about WandaVision, their first real jump into the small screen. And I want to hear about how you think about it. But before we get there, I think our audience members want to know, why do you like comics? Why do you like Marvel? And, I want to know as well. So I think we'll start with you, Armando. Armando, why is it that the Marvel universe speaks to you? What brought you in here? What started you off in this comic book journey?
I don't know. I was always interested as a kid, just reading different comic books, and it's just something I always got into as a kid. And also right now, like with the movies, just the amount of content that's coming out. I mean, it's great. Just getting more people into that world.
Yeah, no, it's, honestly, did you ever think that, 10-year-old you would be telling, 30 or so old you, well, I'm the one who's in the 30s. You guys are young. That you would be seeing what you saw on paper on the screen and it would almost look real?
I mean, no, definitely not. I mean, I don't think I ever even thought that would come true. Yeah, but it's very crazy, the technology and just how realistic it is, like you said.
Yeah, well, it ain't your Lou Ferrigno Hulk, or ain't your ain't your Adam West Batman, so it actually feels pretty legit. And
the Hulk did have his trials. I think they finally got there though.
Well, somebody had to take the fall, and hey, who else than a big green machine, right? It's like not one, not two, third time's a try. No, that's great. That's great. And, I completely get it. Same thing with me. It's just carried on through my childhood and I'm glad I'm here. Park, what about you? What pulled you into the comic book universe? What attracts you about Marvel?
I think I'm different because I got a little different from you guys because I got into it a little bit later, I guess, in life, because I got into it more, I think probably when the first X-Men movie came out. I never really read comic books as a kid or anything like that. But then I got interested in with specific characters, and the way that I get interested in things is I go and I rabbit hole about them basically. So I'd come back out and I'd see something and maybe they'd leave a little Easter egg in a movie or something like that. And then I would dive into what that was. And then from there it'd be oh, well, this is a reference to this comic book arc that's like this. And then I would go through and I'd read that entire arc. And then I really liked the whole, I liked going through the arcs of the characters that I started to like. And then I liked how that all kind of connected into this deeper story about the whole universe together. So it wasn't necessarily something that I read about and then saw being transcribed to the big screen. It was more about I wanted to just know more about what's going on in the background, and that's kind of what led me to go and go through all that.
It's the layers, right?
Layers.
There's so many things going on and you just never know what might come up that might be cool. And I think I think both of you can agree. I think Disney, or you can disagree, of course, we're here at the Continental, but Disney has done a great job of creating those layers and creating that interest through their movies, through their shows.
Yeah.
And even everything that might seemingly be disconnected, they really brought it together.
I think that's what's really smart about how they used to do, like, at the end of those Marvel movies, the teaser for like somebody else from like a different perspective, like that's like, because you just saw something like, oh, that's kind of cool, but then at the end of it, I think it's like the end of the first Iron Man, they had what's the general's name, General Ross, I think, from the Hulk, like come in and Solomon needs to talk about something, and it's like that just immediately like sparks the interest of like, you don't know what's coming, but like you kind of want to check out, what are they going to intertwine, and like how is that going to relate back to the specific arcs and things like that.
Yeah, I was always disappointed when watching a DC movie that you never got that at the end.
Yeah,
you got a black screen.
yeah.
But to be fair to DC or Warner's, when they did do it with like Batman, they didn't need to, right? Like the movie stood on its own and stuff like that, and it was good. But to your point, Park, like creating that Easter egg, that what's next, it's like rather than creating a full cliffhanger, like where it's like where they try to force feed it in you, like Matrix or some like the Harry Potter movies, like they just force feed that kind of like tension, like it's like, oh, it's just that tease, that Easter egg. I love the idea, Easter egg, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, is that real, or did they mean to do that, or are they just messing with our heads? And sometimes they mess with the head, right? Like I think, was it,
which is cool too though, right? Like because then it's just like, oh yeah, like you can't look too deep into everything, but it's still cool to see. Like I think even for like going back to WandaVision too, like I think they first showed them in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like wasn't it her and Pietro in the Collector's like laboratory or something before I think they even did the Avengers?
I don't know.
I might be wrong.
No, I mean you might be right. There's so much stuff going on.
There's so much stuff in that show.
Because like especially like with the Collector too, because he had all this like random stuff, and I thought that was like one of the things was like in one of their cubes was like Wanda and Pietro. And that was before.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be something that's out there. Because I remember reading like Guardians of the Galaxy, like they had tons of teasers throughout, right? Like they had the Adam Warlock thing that's supposed to be maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They had that that was the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, but the duck, the space
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck is like totally random, right? They had like
have you guys ever seen that movie?
No.
Yeah, no, only
Is it good? Is it one of your favorites? That's what got you into comics, was Howard the Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, like, it's okay to admit.
It's like, oh man, this is so cool. I need to start reading comics.
If they can do this, what else can they do?
They'll make a comic book about anything, right? So no, but it's going back to it. The Easter eggs really drive so much. And even to go and bring it back to WandaVision, I think throughout that whole show, there were so many Easter eggs that tie back forward and backwards. It's like bringing things together about why, and whether they were like, what was the one that really stuck out? Well, I didn't even know. Okay. So like the Monica Rambeau, right? It didn't even dawn on me that she was, I forgot that she was the daughter from like the Captain Marvel. Right. But I don't, and she was the one who, she came back and is like, oh, her mom's gone. And the mom is the one from but I forgot. Right. And then like that Captain Marvel was like 50 years or whatever, 40 years before. And I was just like, man, they're able to just stitch everything together. It's just like, they just get everybody into a room together and be like, all right, this is the timeline. You can go this much different, but that's about it. Everybody has to come back to this one. It's like that scene in Endgame, or in Endgame with the Mystic, and she's like, every timeline has this, and if you break it up this much, you're gonna blow crap up, right?
I hope some of it's just kind of like they just have these oh shit moments where they're just like, oh my god, this time matches up with this. Like we can easily go and throw this person, and it's like we never planned for this shit, but it's like it all fits like well together. That's what's gonna be interesting too. Like I think that's part of like with the snap stuff, like how they're going to handle like people aging separately from that. Like that's going to be kind of weird, I think, because that kind of fluctuates depending on like how old people are now.
Yeah, I'm curious how far they'll go off the beaten path. Like even with did either of you see the Loki trailer yet?
No,
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's actually pretty neat. I just don't quite get it yet, because just watch it. I don't want to ruin it, but because like the whole concept of that Loki is when he escapes, I think, because he in Endgame where he escapes from the what's it called, agents of the Shield agents, because they disrupted the timeline trying to steal the Tesseract, the Tesseract
stones?
and the stone, and then he escaped rather than being captured. So he basically creates an alternate universe, basically, where he's free.
Okay.
Like that's the concept of it, right? Because in the normal universe, he gets captured, and then he goes home with Thor, and Thor locks him in Asgard, right? But in this universe, he escapes from the Shield agents with the Tesseract, and he just like disappears into the universe. So, and that's what they're following, and so that's an example where the timelines just completely go out of whack.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if they're gonna play into it or not, right? At least, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, what's kind of weird about that though too is it's just like I feel like so much of what, like, one of the reasons why Loki's getting his own spinoff is because people really like the character and what it developed into. But if you take him away at that, like, pretty much like the first point in which you like really started enjoying some of the aspects of his character, and you're like, yeah, none of that happened now. So it's like he's got a completely different character development stream than like the Loki that you saw at the end of like Ragnarok, where, you know, like that's where like a lot of that like wit and humor kind of came through, which isn't necessarily true to his character, right? At the same time, but it's like now they might have an opportunity to go out there and like really make him, you know, a villain more than, because he was basically like a hero at the end of it.
Yeah, he became that anti-hero, I guess. Like he was the villain that you were sympathetic for, because he was basically the
chaotic good.
Yeah, the chaotic good. But I also kind of reference it as it's like Thor is like that and though Thor had his own character arc, but Thor is like that. And I apologize if you were that jock in high school who no matter what did no wrong, but Thor was essentially the jock that did no wrong no matter what. Golden boy. And like Loki was basically the nerd, and he always just got no matter how much he tried to make things happen, he always just get his ass handed to him. And it's just like, and then to the point where afterwards you're like, oh, I think I actually relate more to Loki than Thor. It's like Thor is just like, no matter what, it's like even when he like he fattens up, he can still get an awesome axe and kick ass. It's just like, what is this? It's like, what is this?
That's kind of the perk of being a god, though, right? It's like you can drink like 30 beers and get a beer belly and still be able to do things.
But hey, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the shows. But so that takes us to the next question that we have for you. So Armando, your first impression, what did you think? How'd you like WandaVision? What did you think about it? Just give us your
It was a little weird at
feel.
First. I wasn't sure like what I was like watching, just with the whole like the different show. Like it was kind of like an I Love Lucy kind of thing, which was kind of a little weird.
Man, are you guys even old enough for that? You guys are a little bit children, aren't you?
I think I was around that time.
we had Nick at Night. Man, that has all that stuff on there. It's not like you were around when that show first came out.
I'm still older than you.
Yeah, but you and your family weren't making popcorn to go watch, I Love Lucy streaming on NBC or CBS.
What TV? Like what TV?
Yeah.
But sorry, Armando, I apologize. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty interesting, like the way they started doing that, and then moving towards like different decades, and then bringing up different shows to reference those as well. And like everything, like I went to like in a deep dive on YouTube, just finding all those Easter eggs that I completely missed. It's like there's so much stuff on there. It's like wow, how did they fit all this stuff in there? Like one of them was like the book, the missing book from Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
that was the same one. I'm like, okay, I would not remember that specific one.
I didn't get that either. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Book of the Damned. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like there was a scene in Doctor Strange where they had all the different books, and there was one specific one that was missing.
Oh, when what's it called, Ben Wong or whatever is it? Actually, I have his character somewhere here. Oh yeah, Wong, right here. He's right here. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like stuff like that, like really small stuff that you just don't catch unless you're really paying attention. But yeah, I like the whole concept of just like bringing in other TV shows from different decades and bringing it into like WandaVision as a whole.
How'd you like the twist at the end where it's just like it was Agatha Harkness who was manipulating everything?
Oh yeah.
Did you think
Yeah.
Did you think it was Mephisto?
No, actually, like I didn't know her backstory that much, so like I had to look it up, and then so I kind of went another deep dive on that. See, this is what I hate about these shows, because then you start going and looking at other stuff and see what else is going on.
Yeah. No, I think they did a great job, and I don't know, like Park, what do you think? Because you were you talked about it, and it was that's how I realized that you were hooked onto it, because you were asking me about it too.
Yeah, well, because you're one of the people that I know that's like into this stuff too. So I was like, oh, who can I talk to about this during the day? I was like, Adam at least does DC. Like, he might be watching this stuff too. No, I liked it. I don't know. I liked the first, I think, half of it. I think more than like how it kind of ended, I guess. Because because like one of the first like arcs that I really got into was House of M, but I didn't actually read House of M. I read there was like a Deadpool and Cable. I think it was like after one of the first Deadpool movies came out. They did like, I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting character. And there's like Deadpool plus Cable, and then they go through like these different realities and they do all this stuff and they're interrupting the timeline. And so I read some of House of M. And so I was really hoping that it would be a little bit, I think, closer to that than it ended up being. But then also too, I remember like the thing that I was the most excited about though was when they brought in Pietro from the Fox universe over to Marvel, because I was like, oh man, like we've been waiting for so long for them to be able to do something kind of cool like that, and then have like, both those universes connected. But and then at the end of it too, they kind of like even threw that off. So I didn't really know what that means, right? Because it's like, he ended up just being an actor from that neighborhood or whatever, but he wasn't actually like the same person that he was in that other universe. So I thought that was gonna be like this big like multi-universe like tie-in thing, but I don't know if that's where they really wanted to go with it.
I'm almost wondering is like it's almost like a big fu to DC, because I don't know how you saw how like DC created in their DC extended universe, they just fell deep into the whole multiverse concept. Like they basically did they got the two Flashes on one episode, like the TV Flash and the movie Flash in one TV show. And it's like, oh, you're the Flash. No, you're Barry Allen. No, you're Barry Allen, right? And then they had this whole like the Legends of Tomorrow series, which is the three different recent Supermen, like the Smallville one, Tom Welling, the guy who played the what's his name, Roth or something like that before Henry Cavill, and then the newest Superman and Lois. They all came onto one show, and I was like, what? Anyway, yeah. And then Marvel was just like, nah, I'm just playing with you. It's like this is not Quicksilver.
Yeah, it was interesting too to see if like they were going to bring in Magneto and stuff into it.
Yeah, that's what I was really hoping for, because I really like Michael Fassbender as Magneto. So I was like, oh man, I hope they continue that character, and if they bring him over, Magneto is just a really cool character for me, like personally. Yeah. So I was hoping that was going to happen.
Yeah, you know what, and that is something I kind of liked about the show, in the sense that they didn't go the full Magneto route, but they at least gave Wanda or Scarlet Witch more of her powers that I saw in the comics and how I know her in the comics, right? And the one thing I always didn't really like about the Marvel universe was they made them like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. They were a result of the Mind Stone getting like bombarded by the radiation, whatever. And now they twisted it further by saying, oh, she's always been a witch. She's just always been a witch a little bit, right? But in reality, they're just, I'm hoping they're just hinting that she was always a mutant, which can go back to what you're saying, Park, that maybe Magneto is there in the background, and that he could have been the parents, because I think in the comics they did some weird, the twins were born and like the mother and Magneto just didn't work out, so she basically gave her twins to Wundagore. It's like some mythical city, but maybe it's just this couple here, because it kind of ruined the fact they're supposed to be mutants, and although they changed that later, but then also her being able to manipulate reality, that is the power that she had, like from House of M. She's supposed to be one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe, which is like the Omega level mutants, right? That's why they're so powerful, right? So it's like for her to just be like a really strong witch is kind of weird, and a pretty big diversion from. Because I was like kind of like, wait a minute, like when I was watching those Marvel movies, I was like, technically, isn't she supposed to just be able to kick everybody's butt with like just words. Like she could have, like how she was demolishing Thanos in Endgame. Like she didn't even have to do that. She shouldn't even have to do that with her magic. She should just be able to like squish him, right? Like in reality, she could have just changed reality. She could have turned him into like a frog, and it would just been like, see you later, game over.
They'll make it too easy.
Yeah, it would make it too easy, right? I get it, but I like how they brought that back, and
but I like how they leave that question up in the air, though.
Yeah, they do.
Which is the other thing that I think that's made like the movies pretty successful too, though, is that it's like you watch that whole development where she's not just coming in as like a powerhouse the same way that it happened with like Iron Man and, you know, Captain America and all those people too. It's like you saw her just being like, oh yeah, like I can do some cool stuff. She ended up doing some stuff with the Soul Stone, and then like at the end of that series, it's her just like really doing that deep dive. And I think she's like doing that astral projection thing from Doctor Strange and reading the Book of the Dead. Like so she's gonna get there, right? So it's like that was kind of cool. It's just like, yeah, maybe she's not there yet, but it's like if she just came out of the box doing that, it would have been a little weird.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It would have been too powerful. Although it was weird that the stronger she got, the less of an accent she got.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of go back and forth on that because I'm like, maybe part of it's supposed to be that she's emulating these American TV shows, right? Like these American sitcoms. So it's like, why would she ever be like the only character for those American sitcoms that had an accent was just like, oh, I'm just some kind of racist character from the 50s. You know what I mean? So like maybe like in her mind, she wanted to be that thing that like, you know, that character that was the main character. And yeah, that she was from like whatever, Kenosha or wherever it is. Maybe like that's what helped her accent a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it, right? Like I think we talked about this, right? VMS, like on Teams, right? We were like, I was like, how in the world could she have known about I Love Lucy or I Dream of Jeannie? Because I'm like, she's supposed to be 25 or whatever, 28 years old. I'm like, I could do some math here, and she was born in the 90s. There's no way. And then they brought it back as like, no, because her father brought home these DVDs.
That was just what I told you. I was like, they live in like Eastern Russia. Like how, like maybe that's all they've got. And then I remember like once I saw that on TV, I was like, I told my fiance, I was like, yeah, you see that? And she's like, she had no idea what I was talking about, but I was still happy that I called it out earlier.
Yeah, no, it's like maybe you should work for Warner Brothers. We might have some connects there.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I thought it was a good show. And what do you think? What did you think about Vision and his character? Like how his character arc went? Park.
Well, you always do Armando first. I was just waiting my turn.
Hey, gotta keep you on your toes. You gotta be ready.
I thought it was like I liked it because I liked how they left that mystery of like how is he alive in the beginning. Like I thought the whole plot about, you know, like seeing him dissected on the table, like afterwards, you know, like I thought that was an interesting point to bring in. Is it's like he died like the rest of the heroes did, but because he was made out of, you know, machine parts that they were basically trying to deconstruct and rebuild them. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then him like, you know, having this existential crisis about like who he is and like what it means to be alive, even as like a robot who became a human and then died, you know, and then like essentially got rebuilt. Like I thought that was pretty cool. Like I like that. I'm wondering more like what they're gonna do with this like silver vision or whatever that shot off at the end, like the one that he saw. Like is it if that's like just a cut and replace, then that's kind of weird. The other thing I thought was weird about that too, though, is because like they kind of did the same thing with Gamora when they killed her, right? Like
exactly
they killed
what
her
I was thinking.
Yeah, and they went back in time. They're like, hey, just restart your story of like getting to know each other again. It's like if they do that same thing with Vision and Wanda, like that's, you know,
I kind of get a feeling that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I don't know from that scene.
Do you think they're gonna do it in the movie, like the Doctor Strange movie,
the multiverse?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, that might be one of the surprises.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other shows are going to come out if they'll introduce them, but yeah, it'll probably be until a movie.
Well, this is going to be interesting, and we can get to this later because it's more of a what's next kind of thing. But Disney look like they're doing a good job. This might be their next thing, and given what's happening around the world, you know, this might be their next moneymaker. Because if you look at Disney Plus, honestly, what's on Disney Plus outside of, you know, retro, right? Like they don't have new content. This is
they got the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like
Mandalorian.
Got huge content on there. Are you kidding me? Like I feel like more people have subscribed to Disney Plus recently than any new streaming service.
Yeah, because of these shows though, right? Like Netflix.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that it's not just like dead. Like they're actually doing good. Like The Mandalorian was huge too, right?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to milk it a little bit. You notice how they're not doing it all at once. They have all this stuff lined up. It's like it's not. They learned from the Netflix, which used to just dump everything, like 10 episodes of Luke Cage, and 50 million people will watch it in one weekend.
I mean, I wish they did that. I waited for WandaVision for like 8 weeks for that same reason.
Yeah,
like I don't like waiting.
It kind of sucks. I honestly, I wait for some shows to finish to binge watch it, but I think I was telling you, Armando, I'm like, you just or maybe it's Park, but it's like I don't want to click on anything anymore. It's like 8 weeks of waiting. I was like, no, I gotta wait. I don't want to touch it, right?
Yeah, like there'll be spoilers and stuff like that. So it kind of ruin it for you. It's kind of like Game of Thrones too. You kind of watch it, or else you'll hear what's going on.
Somebody will talk about it. It's like, oh, this person died. It's like, do you hear about that?
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, I think all around, it's like, I thought those shows like the WandaVision, it got serious for once. So before we get to the next segment, my first thought about the show was that unlike the movies, it's not cheerful, right? Like outside of Endgame or maybe Infinity War, which had a little bit of emotion attached to it, like that, like these was it 8 episodes? No, 9 episodes. Like that was some emotional stuff, right? Like you actually had real character development, real like pain. Like she was basically fighting once you got to midway point where she was like, you could tell that she just made this stuff up. Mm-hmm. And like she was basically hurting so much, she just created this pocket universe. You're like, oh damn, that really sucks. And then when you also realize that the outside world had to come back from the snap, you're like, oh, it's not just the happy-go-lucky. Everybody came back after 5 years. It's like, oh no, people 5 years. People either passed away in those 5 years, or people went 5 years and they were suffered, right? So I don't know. Do you like that kind of direction that Marvel's taking?
I mean, I like it. It changes it up a bit. But yeah, like you said, it started getting a bit more dark towards the end of the season, of the series. If you probably watched Falcon, right? I watched it like 2 days ago, so that kind of transitions into that too, which just straight off the bat, it gets a little bit dark.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for that. Like the darker this stuff is, the better for me.
Yeah, it makes it interesting. I mean,
yeah.
It's fine if they're like joking around and stuff like that, but I actually like a little being more dark. So,
I mean, like, because even going back to like Wolverine, like that Wolverine movie that came out 2 years ago versus like the other X-Men stuff, like that one was just so much better for me to watch than like
so much raw. It's like so raw, man. It was like
it makes it more. You take it more serious.
Yeah, and that was like the first movie, like the first superhero movie I think I went back to go see in theaters like twice. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like he's just this like disgruntled, and I read that comic too, like Old Logan.
Old Man Logan,
Old Man Logan. And so I was like, oh, this is actually pretty sweet, and it's just like him just struggling the whole way, which I really liked. Which actually too, I was hoping for more of like a break in like I think Wanda. I thought that like the Agatha thing was interesting, but I kind of do wish that she just had a full-on mental breakdown and she was the cause of it and had done something like to her own mind that would like to like kind of like protect herself from like this choice that she made to go and like essentially enslave all these people. And I was kind of hoping that was the way that was going to go. And I thought that bringing like Agatha in was like interesting, but it also just seemed like it seemed really weird because it's like her choices became she like realizing that she's still enslaving all these people, but still doing it anyway, where it's just like you would think that like if she realized things were messed up, she would switch back. But like having like a full mental break would have been, I think, more interesting to me. Which again, too, like going back to House of M, like if they did do that, then she could have done like that reverse, whatever it was, like that decimation thing that got rid of all the mutants, and they could have just had that go straight into the Wolverine because there's no more mutants in the Wolverine. So it's just connect all this stuff together and make it cool for me. That's all I ask.
That's all you want.
They can't please them all. Like the comic book universe has shown that you can never please them all, but Disney's really good at pleasing the majority. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I still enjoyed it. So
actually, you know what? Now that you talk about it, you raise a good point. I never thought about it because it was just Agatha almost became a default to have a villain besides Wanda to fight. But if you think about it, do you really
and an excuse though too, right? Like an excuse for her character and for her choices.
Yeah, to be bad, right? Like they kind of hinted at the end when all the people just they didn't, even though they realized what happened, they never forgave her. They looked at her in disdain, right? And she had to fly out of there. But now, if you think about it, you could take Agatha out of it, and she could have still ended up being what she was, because Vision, like, she was already losing control. Vision was discovering this is not the reality, and really the face-off is between her and Wanda to come to grips with the reality. And he could have just said, you have to make a choice. This is not real. I am a representation of the good person that you fell in love with. Fix this, even if it means sacrificing me and the children.
Which I think would have been way more interesting, right? Like, I think like her like having to lose that family that she recreated is way more interesting than her just being. And it's also weird too that she like started to understand that she was enslaving people and then kept doing it if she was tricked into doing it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh well, you can't win it all. They have a whiteboard universe to follow. You go too far, you're gonna get slapped.
Yeah, it's true. You also can't build somebody up as like a hero for 5 years and then just have them like go to some crazy psychopathic villain.
Hey, Scarlet Witch was a bad guy in the comics, right?
She's both. She's
both, right? Too. She was both.
Yeah.
She was a hero and a bad guy. It just it doesn't fit the Marvel universe. But hey,
yeah.
So overall, what do you out of all the, I guess, well, I can't compare it to just the shows because this is the first Disney type show. Maybe Armando, like, what do you think compared to the movies? Do you think it was like, do you like it better than the movies, or do you like this format? What do you like? How do you think about it?
I mean, I like this format because it makes it longer. But I mean, it's the production quality is like a movie, so it's awesome. So, but no, I like this format. But I know the movies will probably have a lot more content in it, just because the storyline will be bigger.
Yeah.
But I wish Disney continues it and see what else they come up with.
Yeah, it just might cost them too much money. Can you imagine?
That's my thing too. It's like if they don't get enough subscribers, they can't continue doing this.
Yeah, because how much do those actors make? I think at least they caught Bucky. What's his name? I forgot the actor's name. Sebastian Stan. Yeah. Like, remember when everybody's like, "Oh, he must be the next Captain America." They have him signed up for 6 more stuff. And just like, no, actually, they just made him part of this TV show. It's like he's not Captain America.
Yeah, but you won't see any of the bigger characters on these shows. Or maybe just like making cameos, but no, that's about it.
Yeah, I don't even know if they'd make a cameo just for like they'd be like, you'd be like, what's it called when Robert Downey Jr. in Spider-Man, he's like, yeah, $10 million. Yeah, I'm just gonna show up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk on the set.
They're like, paid.
It's like, hey guys.
It's like,
no, it'd be even better if he didn't even say anything. If it's just an Easter egg in the background. Like, it's just like he's just like walking out of a coffee shop with a bagel or something, and like that's all that they use him for in a flashback.
You know what would have been hilarious is if remember in that Deadpool, I think it was a 2 or 1 where they had that fake, like, it was like a fake Robert Downey Jr. at that funeral. He had the same beard and everything. And they almost, and it like, it's like, it was like one of those scenes where he's like shooting up everybody. I forgot what it was. I think it was the second one where he was killing all these mobsters, like killing all these people. And like one of them was like a fake Robert Downey Jr. I was like, it just $5 million.
Yeah.
It's like, that's cheap.
Which would actually be more funny too if they paid Robert Downey Jr. to play somebody impersonating Tony Stark. You know what I mean? So it's not even like they bring back Tony Stark and then somebody makes like if he's on Hollywood Boulevard, right? You know how they have like the Spider-Mans out there and stuff.
Yeah, and it actually is
the sign. Yeah, and it's actually like it's actually Robert Downey Jr. And somebody's like, oh, you're like, you don't look anything like him, and then he just like, they flick a coin into a hat or something.
Well, that's what they don't actually thinking about that. They did that in Thor Ragnarok with it was one of the brothers of the Hemsworth. Remember that scene? Oh no! It was Matt Damon, but then the one playing, I think.
Oh yeah, it was his brother.
Yeah, it was one of his younger brothers.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, whatever.
I did like that. That was an Easter egg too. They got like Matt Damon trying to be like, was it Odin or something like that? Like,
I think it was Odin or Loki or something like that. One of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you were just like, why would you ever pay the money to have this dude show up on your set to go like for like 5 minutes, make him unrecognizable, and then do it?
Whatever, man. He probably just did it just for the fun of it, recognition, right? It's like, what did they say? Didn't some people want to be like stormtroopers. They just wanted to be part of it. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah, I
just put
heard
on
about
the like was it Daniel Craig? No, there was a bunch of actors. They just like, I just
Yeah.
want to be a stormtrooper in the background. That'd be something cool. Hell, man, I would go. I'd be like, yeah, I just want to keep this uniform, please. Well,
Yeah.
well, you know,
It's already custom fit, and they're like, that's the standard size, sir.
that.
those things are so expensive. Have you ever seen, like, I've saw like not a movie quality, but like a high end quality? You know how much those things is? Like, I saw one for like $2,000 or something like that, but it's like look legit, and I was just like, no, I don't make enough money.
What do you need? Like a black body, like a black
No, like,
skin tight suit,
like
and then like trying to
like
to make it yourself though. It's just black tights on like with like some white armor on there.
No, but the armor is like, shut up. It's like, okay, fine. I respect your opinion. We are here in the Continental, but
You don't. I mean, doesn't mean you don't have to respect my opinion. Like in the Continental, like they never had to respect each other's opinions. They're just gonna kill anybody.
no, but hey, I've tried making that stuff. It's not easy, man. Like it's like it drove me nuts. It's like did I ever show you? I showed Armando. I showed you my thing for San Diego Comic-Con. I did Nightwing. Yeah, that wouldn't even look good. And I was like, as soon as I went to Comic-Con and actually stood beside, I took a picture with somebody who did do it for legitimately. I was like, all right, let's do this quick, and I'm gonna go now.
Gotta go turn mine inside out.
I'm gonna go
somebody
home.
else.
I'm going back to the hotel. I'm gonna take off this now. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wear the t-shirt instead. But sorry, Park. I interrupted you. But what did you think? So what do you think about? Do you like how the show is, or relative to the movies and the other shows that are out there? Do you like what they're doing?
Like I think Armando nailed it. Like as long as the production quality's there, like if they did bad CGI for this stuff, like it's gonna kill it. Like that's why I don't like. That's why I don't watch the majority of like these kinds of shows on like cable TV, because I feel like Agents of Shield, like it always just turns into like some kind of like half-ass crime drama show, which isn't really why I got into this stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like there's that deep plot there. It's and it doesn't have like a lot of like really cool fantasy bullshit. Like none of that's there. So I don't think I think if they took that away and it just became, which actually is why I probably haven't watched like Falcon and Winter Soldiers, because that seems more spy oriented, which isn't really so much what I'm into. But also I think too that for like the way that they structured the episodes, I thought was cool. Like doing a different theme for each one made it so that it didn't get repetitive and feel redundant, right? Like each one had its own like unique feel to it, which didn't make it feel like a TV show where you just got so much filler in the middle show. So that's what I'm excited to see about, you know, Winter Soldier and Falcon, is to see like if it is supposed to be just like one solid episode or something like that, you know, like if it was a movie, it'd just be one storyline. If it's going to get to a point where you're just like, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of this stuff over and over, maybe you have a plot twist halfway through, but it's like, is some of it got to be filler at that point? So we'll
I think they're gonna just do it all. It's gonna be just one connected show. It seems that like they all have this like end-to-end mentality. I think WandaVision is going to be stand out as unique in that sense. It's only her powers that could allow such a thing to be, where it's like it creates such a mystery, right? Maybe Doctor Strange, but you're never gonna find Benedict Cumberbatch. Well, actually, what are we talking about? He's Sherlock Holmes, right? So I guess he was on TV. Yeah. Okay, well, let's get on to the next segment of the show. So what I wanted to talk to you, and I sent you a couple of key questions, and to spark your interest, to see if we can spark some debate. I had to switch it around a little bit because I know we're talking about one show, so we're not going to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do with this segment is I'll ask the main question, and we'll take turns answering, and we'll just talk about it and see if there's any disagreements or there's agreements. I have a feeling it'll be okay based upon what I've heard, but you never know. So I called this segment the award show segment, and essentially we have to just pick who we think wins the award on the show. So I'll give you an example. Well, there'll be the first question. The first award is called the Robert Downey Jr. Award for who owned the character the best. Who played it that you actually thought they were the character rather than an actor playing the character? And I'll start with Park.
No, why for this one? Wait, is it, and this is just for TV shows, or what is this for? What is
no, sorry, we'll talk just about WandaVision. So
just
there's no
like which,
yeah, because like that's why I was wondering. I was like, I don't want to we could talk about the other shows when you have more time to Netflix and chill and all that other stuff. So
I don't like how you keep telling me to do that, but that's fine. So out of just WandaVision, so what is there? There's Agatha, there's Wanda, there's Vision, there's I don't even know. Like I'm sure like the leader of Sword is probably the same guy, but like that I've never come across that.
Monica Rambeau, who's
Monica
Spectrum,
and then
then the kids and Quicksilver, because you should include him too, because
yeah.
No.
I like so like I wouldn't say Quicksilver because I feel like he's always been more of like an asshole, where they just make him kind of like fun loving in these.
He doesn't laugh as much, the character in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think like maybe I really like Vision. Like I think that they did like a really cool job of making him this AI. Because I mean, remember like that was one of my favorite things about this show too, or not my favorite things about this show, but one thing I really enjoyed about this is like all of the cast being like, yeah, like he's pissed that he has to show up for work, where before he would just go into voice box and just do this AI voice for 45 minutes and he'd get paid the same amount of money. Now he's got to show up for set and then get like layers and layers of makeup on. I think this thing like Paul Bettany or whatever. Like I think he does kind of a cool job. Like I think to your point, like Wanda, she kind of goes in and out of. She's not as much like Wanda in this, but I think Vision was pretty consistent. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. Armando?
No, I mean I'll have to agree. I mean there's not that many.
There's not that many options.
Yeah, so I mean it'll be probably between Wanda and Vision, but I think Vision will probably win it.
Yeah, I'll agree with the same thing. Like Vision, he did an excellent job. Something about Paul Bettany. I don't know if it is like it's funny because, as you said, he plays an android the whole Marvel universe, right? But then at the same time, he's able to play, those characters from those sitcoms and actually show emotion like an actor. But
yeah,
if I think about all the characters he's played in his other roles, he's basically like an android. Like I don't know if you ever watched the Priest or
that's just how British people are.
I'm gonna get banned from the UK. No, just kidding. Nobody watches this show. It's fine. But no, I thought he did an excellent job, and his measured, consistent voice, and it goes to show his progression, right? He's an android who is trying to be human, right? It's the classic data analogy, right? So I thought he did a great job as well, and hopefully he comes back for more, because that ending with that white vision, I thought I was as existential as it got. It was pretty interesting. It throws it for a thing about, oh well, you just lost all the memories, but it goes to show you it's a question about what is that your actual memories. Is it your memories, or is it just who you are, your soul?
And maybe all of his memories are backed up in the cloud too. Like maybe maybe that's how they're gonna do it. Is they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, this physical body like crumbled and died. And he's gonna be like, oh, but if I can just download all this real quick and then I'm right back to where I was. He was just doing a nightly upload.
Yeah, I'm just got yesterday's backup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then he's just like, oh yeah, no time is lost.
Well, or it could be like, you ever watch Altered Carbon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sleeves.
Yeah, it's like, nope. Here you go, back it up. It's like, all right, I might have burned to death, but here I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Okay. So the next one, and you know what? I'll open it up because I guess I see what this RDJ award did, and it is a little bit tight. So for this one, I think we can mix it up a little. It's called the Spider-Man Award for who is the best hero in the TV universe. Okay, TV universe. I'll give you some more space for that. In the TV universe.
In terms of what though?
Well, who do you like? Who from the TV universe? What character did you like the most as a hero? As a hero, and that's the ultimate question, by the way. Like, what do you define as a hero?
Does Armando have to go first this time? Because I went first last time.
Armando, you can go ahead.
I'm trying to think from like all the other shows. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Are you including Falcon Winter Soldier?
Yeah, well, it's hard
not?
Because it's not, because they're not really, haven't been in the TV universe.
Sure.
I don't think they have been enough. Like,
that's fair.
Honestly, though, that first show, they had more character in that one show than all of the movies, but that's just me. Okay, you guys think? I'll go first, just for craps and giggles. I like, and I never thought I would say this, but I actually honestly think that Daredevil was like my favorite character in all the TV universe. I'll caveat that with, at my heart, I also enjoyed Coulson from Agents of Shield, but you guys never watch it. I don't know if you ever watch it. It's just because he's a regular dude who is just, got killed, and he's just like he never gets to meet the Avengers again, but he's just doing his duty. But in terms of like the heroes from a comic books perspective, I think the best hero out of all the shows was Daredevil, and I think they did an excellent job in that 3 seasons, going up and down, and like really being a regular hero with a regular purpose. But then they brought him down, like they and had to rebuild him up, right, when he lost he first the whole engagement with the Punisher, and having that question about what's a real hero if you're not really making a difference, right? I'm killing all these villains and they're never going to hurt anybody again. You're just beating them up. They don't really care, right? You're never going to take down anybody. And he's like, oh, I don't know, right? And then he got so into that vigilante mode that he basically, knocked away all his friends. Was it Karen and Foggy? And they all just like, said, you just do your own thing. And then only to have him come back around again and, realize his friends are what he's fighting for. So why push them away? So I like that, his hero arc. And I thought they did a good job. Of course, he had 3 seasons. Anyway, that was my thing. Armando?
No, I mean, like, I always like Punisher, but I don't think he's like fully a hero.
That's the question, right? Is he a hero?
So it's like that's what I was thinking. I'm like, well, I don't know if he would be considered a.
Well, keep him in mind. I have an award for that too, but keep him in mind. So go. Okay.
But yeah, Daredevil. I mean, I think I would put Daredevil in the previous category. I thought he played a really good character. So I would have gone with that if it was outside of Wanda. That was my pick.
Oh, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. Park.
I might just run you guys through what I was thinking here, because I still like Vision, but I feel like it can't be Vision because he's not so much of a hero. He's just he's just like a robot trying to figure it out. Wanda is not. She's kind of both in this one, so she's not really like, if you think about like what like the hero stuff is. Punisher I really like as a character, but again, like to your point, like I don't know if you could call him like a legitimate hero, I guess, in the sense that for the same reasons that like you said Daredevil was your favorite. Like I don't think you could make that similar argument, in terms of like what it means to be a hero for like an anti-hero like Daredevil, who's just like, I do good, but I also, just like do it. I just like to kill people along the way. But I think, and I like Daredevil too, but I maybe because that was the first one I watched, I'm not super into it. But maybe like Luke Cage, actually. I did like Luke Cage because he has like a similar story, right, as Punisher, right? Like he gets everything taken away from him. He gets like screwed over. He gets kind of beat up. Yeah. And then he came back and then he just tried to do good, like versus where the Punisher's out there just punishing people. Like he's going back to his community and he's trying to, like I feel like that whole show is just him trying to do right in like this new life after so much is taken away from him.
Yeah, and do the right thing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Luke Cage.
Actually, yeah, that's a really good one. I like that one a lot, and he kind of reflective of the character, right? The Marvel character itself is a morally good man, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no there's no bending, right? I sometimes find like when I think about the Marvel, like the movie universe, mm-hmm. they just like killed everything. I'm like there was no killing. I'm like. Come on, you're not supposed to be just going around killing people. You're supposed to be like, try that it sucks that you have to kill somebody. It's like, no, everybody just like, I don't care. I'm just going to kill everything.
But that's kind of like what Civil War was about, right? It was about all that like unintended consequence of like you trying to save the day, right?
Yeah. No, but even like Captain America in that first Captain America movie, like, yeah, okay, they're not the Nazis, whatever, right?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
I guess this is the nature of World War II, right? Just strike whatever. But I guess. Well, this is why sometimes I lean towards like the whole Batman thing, but that's another story altogether.
He just cripples people.
Hey, whatever.
Within the American healthcare system, like that's a better result than dying. Sure.
But no, Luke Cage is a great one. I like that one. That's pretty good, right? Like it was a great character. Okay, the next one. The Thanos Award for Best Villain. And I want to actually bring this back to WandaVision because I think there's some gray areas here that I want to explore. So in Wanda, who is like the best villain in that show?
Armando, you go first again.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
I
Armando.
think it'll have to be Wanda.
That's what I was thinking too.
I mean, Agatha, I don't know. Agatha didn't really. She was like the main villain in the show, but
no.
I don't know. I feel like Wanda did more damage in the show.
So, but what about the leader of Sword? Like not going at anybody who's got like a power, right? Like part of her issue was that she couldn't bury and grieve the person that she loved because it was considered, metal. So like that's like it depends. Like I feel like it depends on, for me at least, it depends on it's like either Wanda or it's that guy probably. Like Agatha, she's just kind of out there doing her thing. She just wants some more magic. Like
she wants to steal it.
Well, I think that guy pushed her to do this.
Yeah. Consequences,
but
right?
But at the same time too, she did go along with it. Like she was fine with it once she was in there, and she's like, "Hey, this is kind of nice. Like I'm just gonna keep all these people." So it's like, what's worse is him trying to, and also too, like the reasons why they do that stuff's different too. Like he's not doing it to punish her, you know what I mean? But she's selfishly keeping everybody enslaved for her own benefit. He was kind of thinking of, like if I were to think about it, like he's probably trying to do something for the greater good and like reconstruct like the lessons from Vision to go protect against the future, where she's just like, hey, I really like living in a suburban life. Like I'm gonna keep all these people just rotting in their rooms, and so I don't know. I think still Wanda, but I think the other guy does get like a little bit of a call out.
That's why it's a gray area, because actually if you think about it, everybody's motives are all gray, right? They're like from how what they say is like everybody's story, you're your own hero. So from that director, I think it's Todd, maybe it was director, I don't know what it is, but the director's view, he's his own hero, and he's saying, hey, to your point, I want to make this synthoid back to life because he would be an ultimate weapon for the United States of America and Sword, right? And he's like, I'm the hero and I'll do whatever it takes.
Even though he's the only one who lived through the snap too, if you think about it that way.
Yeah,
like he's the only one who saw
chaos.
Like the devastation, right? Like after
the chaos,
that, where nobody else did.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's the point. But that's a gray area. Although I was telling my wife this, the one gray area out of all this is, how in the world did they get Vision's body out of Wakanda? This is Wakanda we're talking about here. No outsiders come into Wakanda without being allowed. Even if they had chaos, that means they would have people waiting to sneak into Wakanda to steal the body from Wakanda. And that is like the most advanced city in the world.
If we're just speculating, like the way I'd argue it is that they didn't steal it. Like somebody requested to have his body back as like a grieving thing, right? Like Wakanda is like, I don't think would recognize him as a machine and more as a person.
But he was pure vibranium, and they would have been like, nah, but that vibranium staying right here.
They've got enough vibranium. They've got all that stuff beneath it. But if they're like, hey, this was somebody who was important to your culture, important to you guys as a symbol, of course we're gonna give that body back. Like we've got enough vibranium down here anyway. Right. So it's like, I feel like they probably would have given it back in good faith, and then the government would have done something malicious with it rather than just.
Yeah. But I don't, they had no feelings towards the United States of America. They had no feelings for anybody. I'm like, no, they don't.
But they had to make connections during Endgame, right? Like,
we don't know, right? That's why we don't know. But yeah, going back, I know that was a complete side note, and but yeah, same thing with Wanda, super gray. She is technically the hero, but in her own story, but all the stuff that she's done is selfish, right? And that's what we attribute to being a villain, because you're always selfish, right? So she could be the bad guy too. Even Agatha is great too, because you could see from her, she's like, oh, I just saw all this power here. If you didn't know her history about killing those other witches, you could have thought that she was just somebody who's just like, oh, look at that, I just want to get some magic, right? Yeah. Like she was just like collateral, right? And then obviously Vision, actually you saw the two sides of him, right? Like where he was, are you a machine or are you the soul stone, or the soul stone, right? So or the mind stone, right? So in Come to Life. So there was a ton of gray in there, and I thought that was really cool. And then you can throw in Quicksilver if you want, but I thought that was pretty neat. That was a pretty neat one. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why you like this stuff too, right? It's because it's like if there's not both sides, then it's not that
Well,
interesting.
but that's why the TV shows are so interesting, right? I think if they go about this with like the Winter Soldier and Falcon and Hawkeye and Loki, where it's all like it's more of a story, I think I'm actually gonna like the episodes even more than the movies. Because sometimes outside of the first Avengers, I don't really go back and watch any of the old Marvel movies. Like they're just kind of A to Z. It's pretty standard kind of story, right? There's no like mystery behind it. Like I know once I watch it, there's the mystery's gone, but at least there's like we can have this conversation. Who would have thought you're going to talk about the director following this episode, like following this show? I'm like, he would have just been some side character.
But the other part of that though too is like if I was going to go back and watch something, I probably wouldn't go back and watch a 10 episode thing. You know what I mean? That I've already seen.
I've been watching Daredevil again.
Okay, yeah. So there you go.
Right. Or Punisher. Punisher was actually pretty fun.
Punisher was cool.
Punisher was pretty cool. Well, okay, that leads us to the next category. I want to know, this is the Wolverine Award for the best badass character across all of the TV shows. And we'll start this time with Park.
Oh, shit. All right. So again, I'm just gonna walk you through what I'm thinking. So it's like I think Wanda is the strongest. That's kind of cool, right? She can do the most, which I think is like pretty badass. She's got this chaos magic. She can do whatever she wants. Punisher for Punisher reasons. It's just cool. Like he's just angry and he's just really good at what he does. But I think like badass in an evil way, like Fisk from Daredevil. Like he's what that character was like should win some kind of an award. And if you want to talk about badass, like that character is actually really, really cool. And so like maybe I would go with Fisk for that reason.
I did not even think about that. That is awesome. That's a great pick. Armando, did that spur any thoughts?
No, I mean, for me, it's Punisher. For sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. They you know what? This is the one thing I give out credit to Netflix for. They casted well, or their writers were well. They gave the dialogue and the experiences that those characters went through a really good job. Like maybe the storyline, like Iron Fist was kind of like
that's what I was gonna say. It's like Iron Fist. That's the only one that I
and like and like you have to be really hardcore, right? But like the other ones, to your point, like Luke Cage, even
Jessica Jones.
Honestly, for my answer, I'm gonna go with Punisher. Same with Armando. But man, like to walk you now that you spurred the thought pattern, right? Like Vincent D'Onofrio doing Kingpin. Damn, that was like, because first off, I forgot that he's that damn big, right? Like he is actually that huge. Like he's a big dude, right? Like in real
still
life.
not as big as Kingpin should be though.
No, that's still not. And that's part of the hard thing, right? Because like when the Ben Affleck movie, when Michael Clark Duncan did it, he's just a massive dude already, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard, right, to play that that super like role without just being the menacing figure. It was his character that was badass, right?
Yeah, because it was like the way that he just carried himself, that you're just like, okay, you might have that Kingpin presence without having a 10 by 10 body.
Yeah, right. And so that was pretty good. Jessica Jones, I actually, now I think about it, I thought that was actually really cool. I think she's actually nicer in the comics. She's a bit of a jackass in the Netflix. But that actually makes it better.
In the comics books, that's called being a maverick.
Yeah. But I liked it because when I first watched Jessica Jones, you forget that it's a superhero movie, a TV show. It's just her, and she just happens to like have superpower, right? Like she can, jump down from a building, or her and Luke Cage can get it on and crush the damn bed or something like that, right? And I thought that was pretty cool because obviously those two together is like that's the end game for that. But yeah, I thought Jessica Jones was pretty cool. But I go with Punisher. Like it's just toe the line, super gray. His anger, you could like the mix of his anger and his sadness, just like it almost justified all the killing. But at the same time, you're like, whatever, he's just like just badass about doing it, right? Like the one scene that always sticks in my mind, even right now, is when he goes into that gym with all those Russian bodybuilders, or those like things, and he just like beats the living crap out of all of them. And he's even taking like, the 25-pound weight and just going like this, like bam, 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 right? And but he's all at the same time. He's like Hugh Jackman in Wolverine or Logan, right? You see, but he's just himself. He's just like utterly busted up. He's like, no. I was like, I was like, and then he just puts his coat back on and he's like spits out some blood and he's like, okay, on to the next one.
I gotta go home.
Gotta
go get ready.
Gotta get home. Yeah, no, there's so many. I think TV had more badass characters than the movies. Everybody in the movies was kind of like happy-go-lucky a little bit. That's just my opinion. Done.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd have to think about that more. I'm putting a lot of thought into these questions you're giving me.
Yeah, but that's the point, right? That's the whole point. All right, next one. This is the Cable or Bishop Award, called the Multiverse Award, for what's the closest to the comic book reality. So what show is closest to the comic book reality from a storyline perspective? I'll go with Armando. You look like you know already.
No, yeah. I mean, I was thinking it would be Daredevil. I don't think so. I mean, well, the thing is, like, I didn't know much about Iron Fist or Jessica Jones, and so those were like all new characters to me. So I don't know their backstory. So I'm just going off of like WandaVision. Daredevil. Yeah. So I have like two choices. But I think Daredevil. I mean, a lot of the storyline seemed pretty familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. They had a lot of the same characters and a lot of the same origins.
Yeah, they brought in Elektra and
even like the Punisher, that scene where they are questioning whether he's a hero or not. That was one of the first interactions with them, right? So very nice, very nice. Park, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I never read those. So those are some of the comics that I never read. Like I never read Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, any of those. So I think that probably because like there's crossovers, right? So like if I was reading Wolverine, like Punisher might be in there, and Punisher seemed pretty much the same too, right? Like he's just a guy who prepares, brings in a lot of heavy weapons, and just obliterates somebody. So it's like I would think probably either Punisher or Daredevil.
Yeah, you're probably right about Daredevil. I just want to go with, though, I liked WandaVision for the fact that even though it's not a direct correlation, they alluded to the whole House of M kind of reality warping kind of scenario, where even like her kids, bringing the kids back and bringing Vision back, that was that's part of that whole Vision line, right? I thought that was a great example of that, and I thought that was something super, super powerful and super close to what the comic books are. And I like kind of seeing it in reality where she can bring her in. Although it's kind of sad that her kids kind of gone, but
they might come back.
That's the thing, you never know, right? Like that whole end credit scene. No spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up. How about?
Did you say no spoilers when we've been talking about the end of that show for the entire time?
I'm pretty sure this whole thing is about spoilers.
It's been a long day. I'll have to put a spoiler alert at the beginning of this.
Agatha seems like the biggest spoiler, followed by Pietro. Like those are the two spoilers. Like I would have wanted to know.
If you made it this far, maybe you don't have to watch the show. Just come watch us. Just come back to the Continental. Okay, so the next one, I want the New York City Award for Best TV Battle. I'll go with Park this time.
I'm trying to think of what I even remember. I mean, because there's really just like the one from WandaVision, which I don't know if I really liked, because there was like some points when I was watching WandaVision when like Agatha's up there, I was like, they just put this chick up on wires and they put a green screen behind her, and she's like, it's very clear that she's just got a fan blowing on her as she's supposed to be casting magic. That being said, like I do like Elizabeth Olsen's like weird hand stuff she does when she casts stuff. Like I think that's cool. Like that part's interesting, I think, but I mean that's not really like, I don't know, for as much production value they had for that, like that was one of the parts that I thought fell a little short. So I don't think I'd say WandaVision. I would say maybe Daredevil for like some of those scenes when he's like fighting the Hand and stuff like that, and he's got his whole like stuff going on. Luke Cage is cool, but he's just more of like a really strong boxer. Jessica Jones is just a kind of like the drunken brawler. And I don't know what the hell Iron Fist does. I couldn't get into it more than like 2 episodes to watch whatever happens with his fist. So
yeah, his martial arts was a little like hurting a little bit, but
yeah.
he tried.
Yeah, I remember the Defenders. I'm pretty sure there's a big fight scene there.
Yeah, the ending fight scene when they were like the hand, the hand, and then with Elektra, and then at the end when they basically trick the Iron Fist into punching through the wall, and then opens up that whole tunnel,
right.
And then but the whole thing collapses and everything like that. Yeah, no, the Elektra. Actually, anything with Elektra was pretty good.
Yeah, actually, it would have to be more in the Netflix series. I think they had better fighting scenes than what we've seen in Disney right now.
Yeah.
They did have some cool Luke Cage scenes too when he was like when he was in prison, right? And they're just like making him fight out of it. Like that was there was like, I mean, if you're just looking for like some cage fights, like that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, when he was facing that guy in the second season, and I forgot the guy who was using the mystical magic to pump himself up and like make himself bulletproof, but he was like using Jamaican like capoeira. I can't remember the style, and he was just like, it was kind of like a mix of brawler versus martial artist, and like they're both super strong, and it's like I thought that was pretty neat. I was just like, I thought the fights in the TV series, no matter what, they're more physical and less supernatural, right? Like sometimes in the movies, like maybe it was Black Widow or Hawkeye, they're just shooting, but they're like shooting from distance, so you don't know really what they're hitting. And like the Iron Man, Hulk just like crushes everything or anything like that, and like Iron Man just shoots a bunch of stuff. So it's not really like hand to hand, right? There's not like that physical combat. Maybe Black Panther had the best physical combat out of all of them. I guess Captain America versus Winter Soldier, they had a couple of good like the fight scenes, but like the TVs had a lot.
I'm not in it for that martial arts kind of stuff though. You know what I mean? Like I think like a little bit of it's cool, but like I always think about one of the things. Yeah, I need some of that magic bullshit. But it's like, like one of the things that really sold me on
sci-fi at heart.
Yeah, like one thing that really sold me on everything was like that Avengers scene where they come together. Like in the first Avengers when they're fighting everybody and they like just group up, and it's just that long shot and each one of them just wrecking stuff and like just wrecking into the stuff in the different ways. So they've got like the Hulk like ripping off a piece of that like armor and like sticking it in, and Thor's like electrocuting people and then slamming that in. Like that's way more epic to me than somebody just blocking stuff a little fast.
No, but that I agree with you. That brought the comics to life, which is what we all talked about right from the beginning, right? They brought it to the actual silver screen, and you're like, or the film screen, and you're like, oh man, that's actually legit. But I swear, when it comes to like action, for me, this is just me, I like like it's more they mix martial arts with the character's capability. Like for Daredevil, right? Like he was busting out his like super hearing to be able to skip out on stuff and all that jazz, right? But he incorporated it into his like martial arts and stuff like that, right? So or Luke Cage just get himself, it's like he turns around as like guys with AK-47s, he's like, wait a minute, just like no, I'm good, and he just turn around and just like like smash them or whatever.
Didn't he have like some line in one of those that's just like, I'm so tired of having to buy new shirts because they kept getting shot up by he's just like looked, he's like, oh god, I
got a new one.
Yeah.
No, there's it's a different type of action, I think is what you're saying. Like I like the TV one, but yeah, I can see, like, I know what you mean.
I mean, I feel like Falcon might have a lot more better scenes.
Already the first one, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just it's super kind of action oriented. Unfortunately they made what's it called, GSP once again, or George St. Pierre, he kind of has to have a half-assed kind of battle, and he's like, in reality he would kick everybody's butt, but whatever. It is what it is. All right.
Oh wait, you haven't seen it, Park? Oh yeah, never mind.
Oops.
I won't talk about it.
I mean, it's fine, man.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, they're not like my favorite characters too, so I'm not as excited about it as I was for like WandaVision. So
this is not sci-fi, so maybe you won't be liking it. But character development, more character in that first show than the whole movie arc.
Yeah, but is there magic bullshit?
I can't
Sci-fi
answer that
bullshit?
question.
Yeah, well,
maybe
all right.
maybe
Yeah, I'll go-
Loki will show up. I don't know. You never know. Hey, it's
Well,
Disney.
you watch those, you know.
Yeah. No, actually, well, oh no, it won't be. It's more of a suspense because what's his face? Baron Zemo or so is going to be in it, right? But he's human, so all right. Okay, we'll go to the next award, and this will be the second last award. And I want you to focus on Wanda Vision for this one. So on a scale, this is called the X-Men Award and on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to rank 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, rank WandaVision from a storyline perspective. How did you like the storyline?
Who goes first? You got to remember, you got to choose us.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Armando.
Man. So you want to rank it?
No, just like a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being like, is it should never have come to production, which we know it should have been. 10 being like it's an amazing storyline. There was no discount, like it was a very good. It was a very well thought out show. There was no episode that was like BS. Like even for some shows, filler episodes are important. Right, like I love but sci-fi. I'll give you an example. Like some of the sci-fi shows that I've watched. I call it out. I love Supernatural. I don't know if you heard of Supernatural, the show. It's like a supernatural ghost, but they had tons of filler shows. But each filler actually means something to the overall show, and it's a good break point. But not all shows need break points. So anyway,
no. I mean, I don't think they had any fillers. I think I don't think Disney's going to use fillers, especially like just a short span of episodes, which is good too. I'll put it high up there, probably like a 8 or 9.
That's very high.
I mean, I like the production quality, and then sorry, the storyline was also pretty good. I mean, it had its up and downs in some places, but it's kind of hard to compare because it's like the first show that they did.
The first of the
yeah. I mean, so I'm just basing it off of what I've seen so far, but it's hard to compare it to other stuff that's around. And you can't really compare it to Netflix because that was its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they followed the same.
Yeah, they definitely did something totally off the beaten path. Like I think a lot of people, even with the trailers, are like, what?
Yeah. But yeah, once you start seeing like Loki or the Falcon or any other shows, then I think that at that point you could just compare it more and see if it actually meets those expectations of the other shows, or maybe this is the best one. I mean, who knows?
Hey, it set the bar high. It has set the bar pretty high. Okay, Park, what about you? Scale of 1 to 10.
I think I'm gonna do 7.5. It's like I don't know. I might be being too critical, but like I liked the production value. I thought that was really good. I liked a lot of the stuff. It kept me going back like week after week and being excited about the next episode. There's just some I think more just some plot points that I wasn't super happy with that I don't know. It's just it's not one of those things that I think I'll go and I think if it was an 8 or 9, I would be excited to go back and rewatch it again. But it's I feel like I got what I needed out of that, and I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna go back and watch it again. So I think 7 out of 5 or 7.5 is probably where I would put it. Because it wasn't bad by any means, right?
Yeah.
It was really entertaining. I was excited to watch it. I had a good time watching it. But there's just some stuff in there that I was just I don't know how excited I am about this.
Oh, no, that's good. That's a good point. That's a good point. And actually, you know what? You swayed me a little bit because I was going to originally start with, I was going to rank it at 9. All right. 10. My 10 is I could just go back and watch the show again and again. So that's super hard. That's just really hard to do. Mm-hmm. You got to be some kind of Batman animated series. I'm just going to keep watching Batman animated series forever. But I was going to give it a 9, but then to your point about the whole lack of, you could probably watch it. I could probably watch it again just to pick up more of the Easters. So I'll go 8.5. Let's go that mark.
That's good. Yeah.
But I will say too, I thought it was revolutionary in how it started off. It didn't follow any other mold, like you said, Armando. It's not like Netflix. It was very vague about what it made you want to think from the get-go, but it didn't drag it out. like by
Yeah.
episode 4, it was like, okay, this is, if you're a comic book fan, you're like, okay, this is her reality warping power. But then you're like, stage 2, who is behind all this? Like, why is she like this? It's like, what caused her to do this, right? And then like stage 3 is then there's the climax, and it was very well built out, very well structured. Even though it was so dramatically different between the first 3 episodes, the middle 3 episodes, and the last 3 episodes. And I thought it was a great job. I wish they used the Monica Rambeau character a little bit more, but I guess she was more of a trigger of reminding her that she's good, but she didn't really use her that much. So I think she's gonna be in some future TV shows, but that's what it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're gonna bring her in other stuff.
Yeah.
Just an introduction.
Since you got to change your answer once you heard mine, I'm going to change mine to an 8. I think, because it's not fair. I think to call it 7.5 because I did really like what they did. Like I thought doing like even if you did a different show that wasn't Marvel and you had to go through those same time periods and you did that like as well as they did it, like I think that was pretty cool. Like just as a standalone outside of all the Marvel stuff. So like that at least they should get some kind of credit and merit to, because I mean it didn't really have that much to connect with like at the very last episode. Like they never really talked about it as much as they probably could have. But that was just all about like the design choice for us as the consumers who are watching it of like, let's just give them something cool and different, but it's like not impacting the characters within that world that much. So
that was pretty cool. All right, last award for the evening in honor of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Out of all the shows that you've watched, what has been your favorite show so far? And we will start with Pork.
It was WandaVision just because of the magic bullshit, like also like those characters are so much bigger on such a larger scale. You know what I mean? Like Vision and Wanda and the stuff that they were doing is way different than, Luke beating up people in Harlem and Daredevil doing that in Hell's Kitchen. You know what I mean? Like she mentally enslaved people and changed their realities. Like that's an insane difference between like what's going on with them versus, and she created children out of nothing. Like that's such a larger scale and like so much more interesting to me than just being like, oh, like I'm a really strong person. So
yeah, no, that's a good answer. It's a powerful show. It had a little bit of everything, and the emotion behind it was just like crazy. Like I felt for her at the end. Okay, Armando.
I agree with part 2, WandaVision, just because the roles are more important in the universe. Like Park said, like the Netflix shows, they're more like standalone. I mean, they do cross paths somewhat, but not to a level of like with the WandaVision characters.
Could you imagine bringing like, well, maybe not Daredevil, he probably gets squished, but like Luke Cage would be kind of cool.
In WandaVision or where?
No, into the Marvel universe. It's like he can actually hold his weight.
Daredevil will be fine too. I mean, they got Hawkeye in there. He just shoots he's just really good at shooting a bow and arrow. There's nothing supernatural about him at all. Like if he's fine, Daredevil's totally okay.
I'd be fine with replacing him with Daredevil.
No, WandaVision is exceptional. I definitely think it's one of my tops. Actually, if I thought to really think about it, I do like the Daredevil, probably just for now, just because it had. Well, actually, I don't think they're making another WandaVision. That's not going to happen. It was done, right? But Daredevil, like those 3 seasons, like the flow, I thought they just did a great job, and they just coincidentally they knew they were going to end, so they bookended it right, like nicely. But like the fact that they were able to bring in Punisher, bring in Elektra, but it's not it was Daredevil's show that they brought their characters in. And they were able to do their own thing, right? You know how some shows, like I found like the Captain America movies, when they brought in other characters, it no longer became a Captain America movie. It just became basically another Avenger movie. Like Civil War is basically just an Avenger movie, right? And Winter Soldier was not so, well, I guess it was, but the Winter Soldier actually played a lot into that. And it was a Black Widow, basically Captain America movie. So when you bring in characters and you don't feel like it's their story anymore, whereas Daredevil, it played to his character, right? And like I said, it went back to that roller coaster of his arc. And but he had the ability to. Netflix had the opportunity to do that. They didn't really have a chance to do it with anything else. But WandaVision, the emotional roller coaster in just 9 episodes. That makes it that's why I made this podcast about WandaVision, because man, there's so much to talk about it. And like say when it comes to the Easter eggs, the story, the characters, they just did an amazing job.
It kept you on your toes, so you always wanted to see the next episode.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks that Disney Plus like lets you wait until a week so you can watch it. So, and with Netflix, you can't just binge watch everything. But I don't know. I didn't really feel like, I need to really watch this next episode unless there was like somewhat of a cliffhanger in it.
Yeah.
But I could like probably hold off and just watch it the next day. And if everything was out in WandaVision, I would probably just watch 8 hours of.
Yeah, I watched like 6, I think, and because I'm never getting to watch.
I honestly I picked it up at 6 because I wasn't sure either. I was like, what is this? And then I watched one. I was like, another one. I was then like, another one. I was like, it's 4:00 in the morning. I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm with us. And like the one that we finished, like I think it was like 6 was like the one where Pietro showed up, and I was like, well, this is just nuts now. But I've got no ability to push forward because they're not out anymore. Yeah. Like I gotta go scour the internet now to go figure out like if this means what I think it means.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. And hey, we've just begun. Disney's just begun. And I'm hoping, DC gets their act together, but whatever. Marvel is just begun. And I'm hoping and excited for phase 4, and as I'm sure you are too. So hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate you spending the time. It's been awesome to hear your stories.
I got one more question for you, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
About this stuff. Which one do you think had the best soundtrack?
Ooh, that's tough. Because you know why? That Daredevil intro, that symphonetic intro sticks in my head with like it reminds, like, did you ever watch Westworld?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like where they like that, like, I don't know, when they make those robots, they have that like that goo, like that goopy kind of look, and it's like dun 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 dun, dun. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It just sticks in my head. But I know, but that's only one soundtrack, so it kind of, unfortunately, it just sticks in my head. I can just listen to it every single time. But actually, I'll say Luke Cage. The hip hop in Luke Cage is just like epic. It's just like, it's just my entire like the 90s and 2000s for me. Now that you talk about music, I'm like, no, wait a minute. You talk about actual sound, like a tracks, Luke Cage.
Because I would say Luke Cage too, but I'd say for a different reason though, because it's like I like the hip hop part that they had, but they also had the big band. They also had like the club, right?
Oh,
where it was like actual like artists playing mid
that's right.
episode each time, and it had like,
real.
and it actually and it built towards the episode too. Like it gave it like a really nice feel to it that I thought like none of the other, like when it comes down to like world building and community, like that was a really cool thing. I thought.
Yeah, because it was like the Harlem community, like they were about music, and there's a lot of incredible acts that came from Harlem. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that they had all that live music.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really cool part of that one.
That was a good one. Good one, Armando.
I mean, I don't even know. I didn't even remember like any of the music. Not until you guys started talking about it. But yeah, like it's a couple of years ago since I watched the shows. Like I honestly don't go back and watch them. Once I watch them, I can't really rewatch stuff. I don't know, just because I know what's going to happen and it doesn't seem interesting to me. So I rarely go back and watch anything. So a lot of this like minor details and stuff I forget.
I watch a lot of that Punisher and Luke Cage fights. Maybe I got something wrong with me.
just on YouTube, just like you've got like a compilation.
No, I'll go back and watch the show. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Look at that.
It's like, like that last season of Daredevil with what's his face, the Bullseye. Man, that guy was. Oh, I didn't even mention that guy. Man, that guy was nuts. He was like perfect. Like he was the third season of Daredevil, the Bullseye. The
who plays Bullseye?
Who's the character playing it?
I forgot the actor. He was just as a blonde dude. I forgot his actor. And yeah, he was supposed to be the next villain. Like he even made that the Bullseye, he had carved it in, but he made like what's it called? Colin Farrell look like a baby, man. Like he was like crazy. But that's okay. I can't remember. But
I gotta go watch that season now.
Yeah, no, man, you didn't watch the one with Bullseye? Oh, that guy was
after Iron Fist came out, I watched the first three and it ruined the rest of them for me. So I didn't watch the last. I didn't finish the Punisher. I didn't finish Daredevil, and I didn't finish. I never even watched the Defenders. Which is the whole point of me getting all these.
Talk about Kingpin being epic character. The third season is him in classic epic form, top from bottom to top. It was
look it
pretty
up.
good.
I remember now. It's coming back.
Yeah, like actually speaking like to comic book reality. I don't want to ruin it, but like the end was like straight out of the comic. Like straight out of the comics.
All right.
Well,
all damn it. Now I got to go do this.
You should definitely watch the Daredevil though if you haven't seen that.
Netflix and chill. Anyway, I think that's a millennial thing, right? Like, man, we're dating ourselves. All right. I will give you back your day. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on the Continental. Armando, Park, it's great to hear you. I really hope you can be our guests again, because you have such awesome input on the comic book universe. And I think we just touched it. We only talked about the TV universe. We have so much more to explore. Marvel, DC, why, comics, everything, right? Toys, if you're interested. But in the end of the day, I just love hearing your opinion. So does everybody else. Whether we agree or disagree, that's the whole point of being here. And I love to hear and I love to learn. And I'm sure all our audiences do. So thank you very much for joining us. Please, to our audience, if you like it, comment, like, subscribe, whether you agree or disagree, do what you want. But we're just glad to have you. And as always, on behalf of Adam and the Continental, it's a pleasure to serve. Please come again.